It's time to clip the Praxis cherry tomato. I transplanted this about a week ago, but it's growing really fast and it's time to prune it back so that I can force the suckers to grow from the bottom. Like I've mentioned many times before, I promote the lower suckers, and then when I reburied the plant, when I plant it outside, I bury those suckers and they form roots, and then I have multiple plants growing. This is how I do it up close and personal. You can see that there is a little sprout right there, a little sprout right there. Those are called suckers. And I know it looks kind of drastic, but those of you that have done this, you know what it's all about. I know it looks really kind of bad, doesn't it? It looks really bad. But we're going to keep watching this plant as the season goes, and I would think maybe after 2 weeks, yep, 2 weeks, this plant is going to look absolutely beautiful. Very drastic, but this is the procedure. Yeah, well, it was growing up until I started to film today, and then when I had to move it, I disturbed it. Now, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to fix this. And this is actually a good thing. I don't want the branches going straight up. I want them to go out because, like I mentioned, when I take this outside, I want lateral suckers, which is what these are, lateral branches, so that I can plant this deeper. The top of the soil, when I take it outside, will probably be up here. So basically everything here is going to be underneath the ground growing roots. This thing right here will be huge by the time I take it outside. I'm going to take it out that way, have it go out laterally, and I'm going to have 3 plants at least growing out underneath the soil, and then where they come out at the edge of the bed, I'll turn them like this, and there's the new plant. So it'll have the benefit of all of this, even more so, it'll be longer. All of that for roots, all of these main roots, all supporting that plant, this plant, and another plant. You got a huge amount of benefit going that way. So this is not going to be needed underneath the ground. And by the way, this is growing so fast it's starting to fall over. So I'm going to take that down. And since it's growing so fast and it's actually putting out flowers, let me pinch this off. I want to show you the flower buds up close, and I don't want it to flower indoors. I just don't want that. I could let it do it, but I choose not to. All right, I'm going to take off this branch. I'm not cutting off just half branches because I know that this is going to go underneath the soil. No need to leave those on here. Now let's see, since I really only need this much to have leaves, I'm going to go ahead and take all of these off. Now what's going to happen is this just lightened it up. See how it went up there? That's good. Now it's got all this weight. If it's laying on top of here, it really isn't having to support itself. Now that it's actually supporting itself, it's going to grow some more strength here and here. Now look at this one over here. Let me move this over so you can see. This thing just limp noodle. Nope, can't have that. This is how Ray grows his stuff. This is what I do, folks. Now this one, of course, is not going to stand back up. Look at this. It's just a total mess. But what I'm going to do is remove all of that, and when I put this back underneath the light, trust me, this thing is going to start turning up and going like this, up towards the light. But I'm not going to prop this up. I'm not going to put it on a stick or anything like that because I want it to go out like this. So I'm just going to let it hang like that, and eventually it'll try to grow up and it's going to develop more strength along the stem, because this stem, I would like it ideally to be a little bit stronger. So I'm going to let that thing go just like that. Like I said, it's not pretty, but this is production. These are for tomatoes. These aren't for show quality. There we go. Tomatoes are done. Ugly little thing, but good thing she's not going to prom. It's incredibly hot, and it's time to get these poor things into the ground. And I do say poor because once you see them, you're going to want to send me a sympathy card. Don't send me sympathy cards. Please don't send me sympathy cards. You know, I really should use the gate, but I like walking over the fence. It's so much shorter. This is Boxcar Willie, and it's actually what has become of Boxcar Willie. This is a tomato I was growing indoors, and I'm bringing it outdoors to harden it off and get it ready to plant in the big garden down, the new garden down there. Beautiful today, not as hazy as yesterday. You know, yesterday there was this weird haze all over the place, and it smelled like smoke, and I don't know what it was. Either somebody had a fire around here, or I don't know if this was the Canadian fire. You know, Canada's on fire right now, and I feel really bad for them because it's really horrible. But I was wondering if the smoke was coming down this far. I really don't know. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's greening up nicely on the hills. I don't know if you can see that or not. Okay, let's set you in here. Okay, now we got to take the tag out. Don't need the tag anymore because I'm not going to forget what this is. This is the tricky part. This is the only tricky part to my method of growing tomatoes, because I let them grow for so long inside that it's kind of a pain in the butt to get them out of the pot. And I have had some mishaps, but this is how I choose to do things. And watch close, because I can't do a second take on this. I support it with my big farmer hand here, turn it upside down, hold it nice and steady, and generally it just falls out of the pot. Look at the roots. Beautiful roots all the way around. It's not root bound, it's just perfect. Now let's set this in the hole. Oh, hey, I didn't fall in. That in itself is a success story. Okay, there we go. Oh, there goes Rascal again. Son of a gun. He's busier than I am. Okay, now as you can see with this close-up beautiful view, is that the top of this is lower than this. Hey, ooh, no, you can't get away. You get your butt back here. Look at this. Look who I found in here. Oh, they're already starting to show up. Yep, like I say, you put compost in your garden and the worms will come. They will definitely show up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is hurry up and fill this up with soil. Just backfill it in. Don't press it in. That's a thing. Do not push your soil in really hard. You don't want to press those roots because they are delicate. You may think of them as being strong, but they really aren't. You don't want to go in there and just mash up your roots and harm them after all of this work. What we do is we just kind of collapse the soil in there, pop it in. If you have really, really loose, fine soil, oh, this is a breeze, but as you can see, I do not. So I'm just having to shove the clumps in there as best as I can. And what'll happen is the water and time will help fill it in. That's just how it works. Okay, you know, this is really different for me. You see me doing gardening videos for many years. But you know, something you may not know is I'm not used to talking when I garden. I'm actually very, very quiet when I garden. I just listen to the sounds of the birds, the sound of Rascal running by, and my mind just wanders. And so this is kind of different for me, actually explaining what I do and talking, but I don't mind doing it. Okay, clods, dirt, compost, all that fun stuff. And now what we're going to do, it would have been nice to be able to bury it a little bit deeper, but we can't. So now what we're going to do, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You want to make sure you do this gently. You don't want to go and push it down, otherwise you're going to break something, okay? What we do is we gently put these branches down, and they're kind of pliable. So we're going to take it out like this and dig with our hands. Yeah, that's what Ray does. I don't usually use tools, only when I absolutely have to. And we put this stem down like that. Now we're going to put soil all the way around it. And there we go. I hope you're getting a good view, because I really don't want to touch the camera with my hands like this, because this is what my hands look like, digging in compost and soil. There is one plant coming up right there. One stem is down. I'm going to do this with as many as I can. Some of them are pretty tough here, so I may not be able to do that. But what I'm going to do is, as they grow, they're going to fall down, and I'm going to bury them as they go. So I'm going to bury all the ones that I can. The ones that I can't, I'm just going to let them grow, and when they fall down, I'll bury them. Like I said, this is a work in progress. You don't really do everything all at once. Oh, and another thing, I do make sure that all of the leaves are trimmed down here before I do all of this, because I don't want to be doing that while I'm transplanting. That's why all of these branches are bare. It's not because there aren't any leaves on them, it's because I trimmed the leaves off of them. And that way, any buried leaves are going to just rot away. And I don't want that happening because it robs your soil of nitrogen while they decompose. And I don't need my plants doing that. I want them to get all the benefits of all that nitrogen from that compost that I spent all this time and hard work making. Okay, we backfill on there. I know it looks kind of ridiculous, doesn't it? Looks kind of unhealthy and all just buried and horrible, but given a little time, it's going to look beautiful. Well, that's the plan. We never really know what's going to happen. This one went through a little bit of a hard time acclimating with all the weird weather we were having here. This poor thing. But I do believe it's going to do just fine. I don't bury them really that deep. This one I didn't bury that deep. So there's that. Bring over some soil here. And even though I don't bury some of these underneath the ground, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring some soil and bring it up around the center. Yep, that's what I do. And that way some of these stems that are coming straight up, they will put out extra roots at soil level. Every root it can put out helps this plant. So make sure you bring up as much soil as you can. You don't have to do a mound or anything like that, but just backfill it in nice and don't leave a well inside. That's not necessary. How you doing? They're all over the freaking place. These are the boxcar willies. Yes, these are the boxcar willie, singular. This is the one plant. Towards the end of July, they start turning from a sea of green balls to yellow, light green, orange, red. It's a beautiful thing to see. And there are quite a few of them. I'm going to just give you a really, really quick scan of the tomatoes, and they're hidden. Yep, this is like Easter. Yeah, you got to pull the leaves aside. Look at that. Thing's huge. It is a really good size. They're everywhere. You can't move a leaf without seeing a tomato. There are a lot. I have way more tomatoes than I can possibly use this year once I start canning. And this is the size that they're supposed to be. Like a I have far more tomatoes than I can ever use. And this is going to be the second to the last time I show this, but I wanted to do it one last time because it really does bear repeating. This is my boxcar willie tomato plant, and this is the end of October. We're getting right up to frost, and the plant hasn't stopped producing. This is what tomatoes are supposed to be. It puts out all summer long. This put out through the heat of the summer, all the way until the cold of the autumn, and it'll put out until the frost. And it puts out consistently, and I really do enjoy this. So